Algorand has been on quite a run lately. Between record-breaking transaction speeds, major DeFi developments, and growing institutional interest, there's plenty to cover. One of the biggest signals of confidence in the project has been the $50 million investment from DWF Labs. But that's just part of the story. The numbers speak for themselves. Algorand's hitting close to 6,000 transactions per second, and they've managed to keep their network running without any downtime since launch. In today's video, we're going through everything happening with Algorand, the good and the not so good. We'll look at their major developments, some challenges they're facing, and what's coming up next. Let's start with a quick refresher on what Algorand actually is, because it'll help make sense of everything else we're about to cover. If you're new to Algorand, here's what matters. It's a blockchain platform that can handle tons of transactions super fast without sacrificing security or running into the usual scaling problems other networks face. The project was started by Silvio Micali, an MIT professor who's kind of a big deal in cryptography. He actually won a Turing Award, which is basically the Nobel Prize of computer science. He looked at the problems other blockchains were having and came up with something called pure proof of stake, or PPOS for short. Most other networks struggle with what's called the blockchain trilemma. They have to choose between being fast, secure, or decentralized. Algorand figured out how to do all three at once. Instead of just a few validators controlling everything, Algorand randomly picks users to validate transactions based on how many algo tokens they hold. This keeps things fair and secure while still being incredibly fast. Algorand is one of the fastest blockchains out there, with near instant finality, so there's absolutely no waiting around for confirmation, like you have to do with some other networks. Plus, the fees are tiny, which is pretty important if you're actually planning to use it for anything. Now let's get into what's actually happening with Algorand. The network previously got a major performance boost, pushing it up to 6,000 transactions per second. That's a huge jump from where they started. But speed isn't worth much without real use, and that's where things get interesting. One of the biggest stories is how their stablecoin market has grown. In Q3 of 2024, the total value of stablecoins on Algorand jumped by 34%, hitting $113 million. Most of this growth came from USDC, which now makes up about 97% of all stablecoins on the network. This matters because stablecoins are usually a good sign of actual network usage. People need them for trading, DeFi, and real-world payments. Speaking of real usage, Algorand's partnership with Coinbase turned out to be pretty smart. They rolled out these educational quests where users could earn up to $20 in rewards for trying out different Algorand apps like Parawallet and TinyMan. The results? They saw record numbers of new users. We're talking about 124,000 new accounts in a single day. Also, DWF Labs stepping in with that $50 million investment wasn't just about the money. They're actually planning to use these funds to boost liquidity across the network and support new projects, especially in DeFi, gaming, and infrastructure. This kind of institutional backing is exactly what growing networks need. The network's also seeing some serious growth in its DeFi space. The total value locked in Algorand DeFi protocols grew by 12%, reaching $194 million in 2024. Big platforms like Folks Finance, TinyMan, and Lofty are leading this charge. What's particularly interesting is how these platforms are growing while keeping fees super low. It's at fractions of a penny per transaction. Another major development is their work with traditional finance. The network caught the attention of Sweden's central bank, with Algorand being included in trials for their e-krona project. They're also working with institutions like Archax to tokenize money market funds, showing that traditional finance is starting to take blockchain technology seriously. Let's focus on where Algorand is really shining right now. First off, their network performance is pretty remarkable. Unlike some other blockchains that keep running into problems and downtimes, Algorand hasn't had a single outage since its launch in 2019. When you're dealing with financial applications and real-world use cases, this kind of reliability is huge. Their pure proof-of-stake system is proving its worth, too. The network's handling millions of daily transactions without breaking a sweat, and more importantly, without these crazy spikes in fees we see on other networks. Even when they hit peak usage of 43 million transactions in a single day, the network kept running smoothly. The development side of things is looking solid, too. More teams are building on Algorand, and it's not just small projects. The Drone Racing League, which is valued at over $200 million, picked Algorand for their blockchain gaming ventures. They're working on a play-to-earn drone racing game that could bring in a whole new crowd of users who aren't typically into crypto. Real-world adoption is picking up steam as well. LabTrace is using Algorand to track data in clinical trials, making sure medical research data stays secure and tamper-proof. Companies like Finboot have switched over to Algorand for their supply chain tracking, mainly because it's both fast and energy efficient. Environmental impact is another big win. While other blockchains are still struggling with energy consumption issues, Algorand's already carbon negative. This isn't just good PR, it's actually helping them land partnerships with companies that have strict environmental policies. Their approach to governance is working out pretty well too. Instead of just letting the biggest holders make all the decisions, they've set up a system where regular users can have a real say in how the network develops. The latest governance period saw 11 key initiatives implemented, with rewards spread across different types of projects to keep the ecosystem growing in multiple directions. Of course, it's not all smooth sailing for Algorand. Let's look at some of the hurdles they're facing right now. One of the main challenges is the centralization concern. While Algorand claims to be decentralized, there's been some debate about this. The Algorand Foundation manages the official list of relay nodes, which are crucial to the network's operation. Even though these nodes can't mess with transactions, having them handpicked by the Foundation raises some eyebrows in the crypto community. Then there's the technical complexity barrier. Even though Algorand's trying to make their platform developer-friendly, some of their most innovative features can be pretty tough for newcomers to grasp. The pure proof-of-stake system, while efficient, isn't as straightforward as traditional proof-of-stake models. This learning curve might be slowing down adoption among smaller developers and projects. The DeFi scene hit a bump too with AlgoFi's closure. This was one of their biggest DeFi protocols, and its shutdown affected user confidence in the ecosystem. The protocol's TVL dropped from $135 million to $25 million before closing shop completely. There's also the challenge of competing with other Layer 1 blockchains. While Algorand's technology might be superior in some ways, networks like Ethereum and Solana still have bigger developer communities and more active users. Building that kind of ecosystem takes time, and right now, Algorand's playing catch-up in terms of network activity and DApp variety. Looking ahead, Algorand has some pretty interesting plans in the works. Their tech roadmap shows they're aiming to hit even higher transaction speeds. We're talking about potentially reaching 46,000 transactions per second, using something called pipelining. Basically, they want to process transactions even before blocks are fully validated, which could be a game changer if they pull it off. The Algorand team is also tackling the storage problem that comes with handling so many transactions. They're working on this technology called Vault that's supposed to help nodes store the blockchain data more efficiently. This could help keep the network decentralized even as it processes more and more transactions. Their push into institutional adoption looks promising too. The work they're doing with central banks and financial institutions could open up some big doors. As we've seen, Sweden's already testing Algorand for their digital currency project, and other countries might follow suit. The gaming and NFT space is another area where Algorand's making moves. Their partnership with the Drone Racing League isn't just about one game. It's about showing what's possible when you combine fast transactions with gaming. Several other gaming projects are in development too, including Cosmic Champs and Ager Tactics. We're also seeing a shift in how they support new projects. Instead of just throwing money at developers, they're building better tools and infrastructure. Their developer portal is getting regular updates. They're supporting more programming languages, and they're making it easier to build complex applications. The DeFi ecosystem is getting a boost too. They've set aside millions in funding specifically for DeFi projects, with platforms like Tinyman and Folks Finance getting targeted support to build out their services. This could help fill the gap left by AlgoFi and bring in more DeFi users. All in all, Algorand represents an exciting development in the blockchain space. With its cutting-edge technology, strong institutional backing, and a focus on real-world adoption, it's shaping up to be a major player in the industry. Between its impressive transaction speeds, growing developer ecosystem, and commitment to solving real-world problems, Algorand is in a great position to build on its success in 2025. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more.